are doomed? Not necessarily. That's because some theoretical physicists believe that the most likely form an alien visitor will take won't be a biological creature at all. It'll be a smart machine.
I actually think that once you get to a certain technological level, you invent machine intelligence. This brain, that's a good starter mode. It's a good starter intelligence, but very quickly you make thinking machines. Thinking machines aren't stuck with all the defects that biology offers.
And there's a unique type of intelligent machine that seems to have the best chance of pulling off the improbable journey to Earth.
It's a very reasonable theory that since our ability to explore with robotic systems is well beyond our ability to explore with people, that the same would be true of an alien civilization.
Machines travel in space far easier than biological creatures that need food, air, water, and everything. You can ship them from planet to planet, from star to star very easily.
Without the need for life support supplies, an alien civilization could send an extremely intelligent robot to search for life beyond its own cosmic backyard. Still, our universe, and even just our own galaxy, is too large for a single machine, or even hundreds of them to explore. It would take billions of years to travel to every star. But what if this machine was so smart that it could make copies of itself? And what if its descendants could do the same? Then, instead of one machine exploring the cosmos, thousands, and eventually millions of them could tackle the task simultaneously. This seemingly futuristic idea of an intelligent, self-replicating probe was actually imagined here on Earth back in the mid-20th century by Hungarian physicist John von Neumann. A von Neumann probe would need to grab resources readily available in space to replicate itself, such as metals and gases found on asteroids, moons, or planets. So what would one of the... In the world of science fiction, alien machines that arrive on Earth are often huge and powerful, able to squash us like bugs. But if a von Neumann probe actually shows up, we may be the giants, and the probe may be the bug.
These could be very compact. They could have nanotechnology and circuits, nanocircuits that are made out of individual atoms. So every part of the von Neumann probe could have the power of a Pentagon supercomputer. So this device could store the entire information content of an entire planet.
Nanotechnology is the science of building fully functioning machines on impossibly small scales. From 100 nanometers, meaning 100 billionth of a meter, down to a fraction of a nanometer. For comparison, a single strand of DNA is 2 nanometers wide. This type of compact design offers several advantages over larger alien probes. Fewer raw materials would need to be gathered for replication. The small mass would make things easier on the propulsion system, and such a tiny visitor would likely avoid detection and unwanted attention. And the alien probe builders wouldn't need their technology to be too much more advanced than our own. After just a few decades of nanotechnology engineering, we can already build a functioning microchip smaller than a dust mite. So an impossibly small, smart, self-replicating probe would probably be a piece of cake for an alien civilization more advanced than humans. Especially since there'd be very few parts needed beyond the self-replication unit.
First of all, on the top of the von Neumann probe will be an array of antennas by which they can communicate which planets have liquid water, which planets have microbial life, which planets have intelligent life on them. At the bottom, we'll have some kind of propulsion system.
But when it comes to a face-to-face visit to Earth by aliens, there is a third option for first contact. It's possible that if an alien is able to make the long journey here, it may not be either a biological entity or a smart machine. Instead, it may be both, part flesh and blood and part machine. Something science fiction calls a cyborg. Theoretical physicist Dr. Michio Kaku believes we need only look in the mirror to see why a cyborg may be the preferred life form of an alien civilization.
Now let's push the fast-forward button. Let's start to go just on the Earth, 100, 200, 300 years in the future. That's just a blink of an eye. At that point, we may want to emerge with immortal bodies. If the choice is between death, between seeing our bodies decay and suffering like that, or waking up one day with a body made out of silicon, steel, and tissue, and living forever, which would you choose? And that's just for us. An advanced civilization a million years ahead of us may have options even beyond cyborgs and beyond robots. They may have options that we can only dream of today.
First contact. The moment when the human race finally comes into contact with an extraterrestrial race and discovers it is not alone. It's an event that could open up incredible new opportunities or lead to the end of life on Earth as we know it. If an advanced alien civilization does exist, and if it sends a signal across the cosmos to make first contact with us, then one of the most likely places that history-changing message would be received is this remote site nestled deep in the Lhasa National Forest of Northern California. Here, the first dishes of what will become the largest radio telescope array in the world are already emerging from the rugged landscape. The sprawling complex is known as the Allen Telescope Array, or ATA. It's operated by the SETI Institute, a private non-profit organization which stands for the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. Before, SETI scientists had to borrow time on other receivers to search for alien signals. Now their own dedicated radio telescope is up and running.
Now, you see these antennas behind me. There are 42 of them now. Each of them is about 20 feet in diameter. It's like a radio camera. It can take pictures, radio pictures on the sky with enormous detail because it's got lots and lots of these little antennas. It's like one giant antenna that's been broken up into small pieces.
In a few years, there will be 350 dishes, all working together to become the world's largest listening post for alien signals. At full capacity, the site will be able to scan 10 billion radio frequency receivers that SETI has used in the past. To interpret these signals, radio telescopes make multiple passes on one region of the sky, record the data they receive, and then convert that data into a mosaic image for analysis. So technically, the researchers are looking at, not listening to, the signals.
In the movies, they always put on a pair of earphones and listen for them, but you know, it doesn't really work that way in the real world. What actually happens is the signals come into this room. I mean, this is the mother of all radios, right? We're not listening to one channel at a time. We're listening to tens of millions. Now, of course, we're not going to sit here and look at this stuff. If we want to know whether ET's on the air, we're going to monitor that on a computer terminal, and those are over here. So this is where the astronomers sit in the control room. Every telescope has a control room. This one doesn't really look like the bridge of the Starship Enterprise, unfortunately. It's rather simple, but it's functional. You could actually sit here and look at the signals. The trouble is, when you have tens of millions of channels, there's really no way you can monitor them all anyhow. And it's kind of like watching paint dry, really. I mean, you can sit here days and days and days, you're going to go crazy, you know? So we don't do that. In fact, you let the computers do all the listening, let them wear the earphones. This computer over here actually is where you can give instructions to the telescopes. You can give them, as it were, a shopping list. First, I want you to go to that star over there and spend an hour observing that one. And then next, you go to another star on the list and then go look at that one. And they'll let you know if they pick up a signal that's really interesting.
Exploding stars and many other celestial events produce naturally occurring radio signals. And man-made objects in space also send signals home. These will be picked up by the ultra-sensitive ATA dishes and must be weeded out by the computers so they're not mistaken for an alien signal. Alien signals would stand out either by producing repeating patterns from deep space, areas where man-made equipment doesn't exist, or by dramatically amplifying naturally occurring radio static.
You see this bright line here? That's a signal. And it starts out at this part of the dial, this frequency, and then it moves up in frequency toward higher frequencies, right, with time. Well, that's exactly the kind of signal we're looking for. It's at one spot on the dial, it's a transmitter. And it's also moving up in frequency. We kind of expect that from ET signal, because ET will be on a planet that's rotating, it'll do that. But it's moving so quickly in frequency there that that's clearly a satellite, maybe a telecommunications satellite, maybe a space probe.
But as sophisticated as this new array is, it will only be able to scan a fraction of the